Hi friends, Maria Gabriela here, your clinical pharmacist turned Ayurveda health counselor. And today I'm going to be showing you how to make kitchari. And kitchari is a traditional dish, and a traditional Ayurvedic dish made of mung beans and rice, and sometimes made with no vegetables at all, but in my version it has vegetables. And I'm going to be using a very simple recipe that I created that is a tridoshic recipe with the standbys, the three main Ayurvedic spices that we use for digestion. Of course, you can use almost any spice for digestion, but coriander, cumin, and fennel. And I am not a trained chef or anything like that, so you're going to see that I don't have like great knife skills and things like that. I actually only learned to cook maybe 5 years ago, and you see these spices behind me, those are in the last probably 3 years or so. I used to pride myself before that with just salt and pepper on the counter that I never cooked. So yeah, that's how far I've come on this Ayurveda journey. So today I'm going to be showing this to you in an InstantPot. So the InstantPot is here behind me. And I actually did not cut my vegetables on purpose because I want you to see just how quick this is. I honestly, it's just a thing of mine where I hate videos where they're like, it's so easy, it takes 5 minutes, and here's my cut vegetables, and here's my spices, and it was so quick. So if you don't want to watch me cut vegetables, that's totally okay. You can fast forward through this, but I have, so I'm using broccoli and I'm using carrots. And the only thing I've done is wash them, and I have a little bit of ginger here, and those are the things that are going in along with the spices. So we'll go ahead and get started, and I'm going to start by cutting the vegetables. And if you're doing an Ayurveda for a cleanse, kitchari, if you're doing kitchari for a cleanse, you want to try to use vegetables that are in season for the time that you're doing the cleanse. And you want to avoid using any garlic or onions just because they're a little bit too pungent and sharp for a cleanse. So cutting up my veggies. I'm purposely not doing the thing, and I know that I'm not facing you, but you can kind of see what I'm doing. I'm purposely not doing the thing, like I said, where the vegetables are already magically cut up, just because I want you to show you, essentially from a timeline perspective, that this can be really quick, especially with my favorite tool, the InstantPot. And I do tend to peel my carrots. That's you can do that. You don't have to do that. You don't have to peel your carrots, but you can. Oh, and by the way, I mentioned that I'm doing this with my recipe. I will be posting that recipe along with this video so that you can give this a shot. Kitchari is wonderful not only for cleansing, but anytime that you need a little bit of grounding, or if your digestion is off. And it's also a really wonderful way to land after traveling. So that's another great time to have kitchari. You can also do like a 1 day a week kitchari, eat kitchari 1 time a week or so, again, just to help keep the digestion going and give your body a little bit of a mini break. It's almost like a mini cleanse to have just kitchari for 1 day. I do tend to eat kitchari probably about once a week, partly because it's so easy to make and whip up. I'm going to be making, this is actually going to be about 4 servings of kitchari. My recipe calls for 2. So I'm essentially doubling my recipe. I'm not exact, by the way, with cups of vegetables or anything like that. I think I have an approximation. You don't have to be exact with how much vegetables you use. It can be a little bit less or a little bit more. And I usually don't use more than 2, but you can. When cleansing, one of my teachers recommended no more than 2, and I kind of got stuck, not stuck, but like kind of just ended up doing that. But I have done kitcheries that have had 3 or 4 vegetables in them when I haven't been cleansing. Another vegetable that I really like to put into kitchery is beets. I'm not really a huge fan of beets. I try, but I don't. I mean, it's weird. I really like restaurant beets. It must be like the butter or something they put on them, but when it comes to like just making them at home, for whatever reason, I don't love them. So, okay. And we'll cut up a little bit of ginger. So one of my teachers talks about using a spoon to peel ginger. I tend to, again, it's like the shortcut. I just cut it, you actually don't have to cut the outside of ginger off. You can eat it, but it's more of an aesthetic thing and a texture thing. So, and I'm probably making, this is probably more than like an inch, but I like a lot of ginger pretty much in everything. So I do tend to put more ginger in. And I know some people grate their ginger. I honestly have tried. I've tried to grate ginger, and I don't, for whatever reason, it doesn't seem to work well for me. It just seems to like get stuck on the grate. So maybe somebody can clue me in on that grating ginger thing, but I just try to cut it with my horrible knife skills into little tiny pieces. And I'll show you in a minute what it all looks like. Again, I am not culinary trained, I repeat. Actually, hopefully to give some of those, like those of you out there that feel intimidated by this, confidence. One of my good friends is, her name is Carrie. She actually was the one that made me feel confident about making kitchery, and I didn't realize it was so simple when I read the recipes. There are literally thousands of ways to make kitchery, and so if this one isn't to your liking, there are others, obviously, with tons of different spice combinations. Obviously, you can play with the vegetables. You can put ginger in it or not. One of my favorite spices that is not actually in my recipe, but I might add today, is asafoetida or hing, which is a very Ayurvedic spice. So here is my vegetables again. Beautiful for me. Okay, and then, so the next thing, all right, let's make sure that we can see this. I'm gonna actually tilt down just a little bit here. Okay, my InstantPot and my ghee. Yes, it's homemade ghee. So the first thing that I do is hit saute. So that'll start heating up the pot. And then I put my ghee in. So, you know, I would say, again, I have measurements for this in the recipe, but I don't tend to measure things out as much as I used to. Before I started cooking, I was a baker, so when I first started cooking, I was measuring like exact. I love baking, and I think it's the chemist in me. But I do put like about a tablespoon-ish of ghee in my kitchery. You can put in a little bit less if you want. And by the way, I didn't soak my mung bean or rice. It's probably more essential when you're cleansing to soak them ahead of time. It's nice to soak them overnight. In either case, though, you don't have to, but it just, again, just adds to the digestibility of it all. So my mung beans are running low in here, but I have some more mung beans and the rice. Okay. And again, I'm trying to do this all in real time to show you just how quick this all can be. My ghee is starting to melt. I'm going to start pulling my spices. So I have my ginger over here. I need cumin seeds or powder, just depending on what you have. I actually buy seeds and then I coffee grind them now into the powder, and I get them in bulk because it's just so much less expensive. So cumin seeds, coriander seed or powder. I have either one, so I'm going to use some seeds. And then fennel seeds, and turmeric, which it is, I have not refilled my little turmeric thing, but some people think it's funny that I love turmeric. I buy it by the pound. Here it is. It does get used up. All right. Okay. So let's see, my ghee is starting to melt. So once it starts melting, I add in my ginger. I'll show you what all this looks like in a second. Add in my my seeds. I'm going to use a tablespoon of each, or sorry, teaspoon of each, since this is for, like, I'm doubling my own recipe here. If you were just making 2 servings, then it would be a half teaspoon based on the recipe. So a teaspoon of each seed or powder, it doesn't matter really. Fennel. And then I'm going to do a half teaspoon of turmeric. And I usually like to do, even though in Ayurveda, we say that it doesn't matter if you put black pepper in with turmeric, you're still going to get the benefits. Just combining the Western and Eastern knowledge, like I do like to put a turn of the black pepper in with turmeric because it helps with the absorption. So I put turmeric, and then I just take a little turn of my black pepper. Grabbing a spoon. See, I purposely did not over prepare to do this because, again, I want you to see just how easy and simple this is and how quick. Okay, so let's see here. You can see my spices kind of tempering in there. So next thing I'm going to do is put my rice in. And I'm making 4 servings, so I usually do half cup of rice, half cup mung. There's lots of ways to do this, by the way. A lot of recipes call for more rice than mung. I like to do mine even. I like half rice, half mung myself. So, and you might want to rinse your rice. That's a thing. You could do that. And my mung dal, I think, like I said, I'm a little low. I might have to grab some from underneath. I need to refill this. Yep. A little bit low. Let's find my mung down here. I will. All right. Okay, here we go. The mung dal. I was gonna laugh if I was out of it. I try not to run out, but it happens sometimes. All right, mung dal. Okay, and then I'm just mixing everything. Just kind of letting it toast. I am gonna add, like I said, it's not in my recipe, but a little bit of hing just for fun because I love it. This is a great spice if you have vata imbalance, but it's generally good for digestion if you're not, especially if you're not having too much heat. That's the only time that you might want to be careful with it, but there it is. It's all in there. So after that, now just add the vegetables. And then the last thing we're going to do after putting the veggies in is put the water in. And the water is generally about 4 times what you use for your mung and rice. So that means I used a half cup of each. So that's about a cup of mung and rice together. So it's about 4 cups of water. Now, when you start making your kitchari, you can make it, like sometimes for cleanses, you want to make it more soupy. So you add maybe 5 cups of water. you might not like the consistency of it at 4 cups. It's about the consistency of oatmeal. You can actually make it with less water if you want the consistency to be a little bit thicker than oatmeal. So let me grab my water, and again, I said this like 5 times, but I purposely did not prepare. All right, so I know you can hear me because I've got my mic on here. I'm just grabbing my water behind you as you watch my Instant Pot cook. I am not going to be editing this because, like I said, I want to show you realistically what it looks like and how long it takes. It's one of my personal pet peeves, like, this recipe takes 20 minutes, and I'm like, why is this taking me an hour? But again, it's my own, like, you know, being an amateur at cooking and chefing and whatnot. All right, so that was 2 cups of water I just added. And now I am grabbing another 2 cups. And I do tend to use probably around 4 cups. Sometimes I do a little bit less. Okay. And I'm just gonna mix it. You don't really have to do this. I'm just getting everything under the water. Oops, a little bit of that. So just to let you have some confidence about what it looks like, it's just looks like almost like you're making a soup. And then I put my lid on, hit cancel on here, so take the saute off, hit pressure cook, and then we pressure cook for 15 minutes, and then I have the keep warm on. So what's cool about this, so now that's it, like, pressure cook, and obviously I'm not going to wait for the whole thing because that would be like you waiting 20-30 minutes for it to pressure cook. You pressure cook it, and then at the end when it's done, you release the valve back here, and then you add your salt. And for 4 servings, it's about a teaspoon of salt, and you can just taste it. Half a teaspoon if you're doing 2 servings. The other thing that's wonderful here is that if you're cleansing, you can actually do this whole process in the morning and then keep it on the keep warm setting, which is good for, I think it's 10 hours. And so you can make your kitchari in the morning for all 3 of your meals, and then keep it on keep warm, and then you'll have fresh kitchari throughout the day. So yeah, that's it. And we're about 17 minutes in. So literally it takes about 15, maybe 20 minutes at the most to make your kitchari from start to finish in terms of getting it all prepped and going in the pot. So I will have a meal ready to eat here once it's done, probably in about 15-20 minutes, because it does take about 5 minutes to pressurize. And it is actually a 1-pot meal. So I hope this serves, and let me know what you think. Leave me any comments, and have a wonderful day. Friends, I'm back. I just made a video where I didn't turn on my microphone, which is so disappointing. So basically I showed you what it looks like to decompress or depressurize your InstantPot. It's open now, but I'm just gonna mimic what I did and show you. So here's the InstantPot, right? And this L essentially means that it's done and it's keeping warm, and it's been on the keep warm for 19 minutes. So as I mentioned, you can do keep warm for up to 10 hours, and I'm going to do that myself. All I did in my video that has no sound is I used, it depends on the model that you have, but you want to depressurize it. You can hear it click. If you wait long enough, you actually don't have anything happen. It'll do what it just did just now. If it's early, it'll throw steam, and you want to be careful not to put your hand near the steam and let it just go. With kitchari, because there's so much water, a lot of times it takes a good 15 seconds to depressurize. And then you simply open it, and I'll show you what it looks like. So it is not it's not super soupy, this one, because I did the 4 cups of water to about 1 cup of mung and rice. But if you want to be soupy, you can add more water, which is great for cleansing. And then all I did was, and I'm just going to mimic, I grabbed my salt, put, about a teaspoon of salt in, mixed it, tried it. I'll do the reenactment. Quite hot. Quite good. It's perfect with 1 teaspoon of salt for me this time. Sometimes I have to add a little more. And that's it. It's ready to go. And I'm actually going to eat this and leave it on the keep warm because I'm going to leave it on the keep warm for my honey so he can have it for dinner when he gets home. I actually need to eat right now. So I hope that this is helpful for your journey. And let me know if you have any questions or comments below. And wonderful, wonderful luck with making your own kitchari. Woohoo!